Hello, this is a literary analysis of Mark Zusak's The Book Thief. Before I begin, I want to quickly review the basic literary perspectives. First person uses the pronoun I, shows the perspective of the character. This is used in books such as To Kill a Mockingbird. Second person uses the pronoun you, and shows the perspective of a narrator, used in books such as Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. In third person, it shows the perspective of a narrator looking upon the situation, used in books such as A Tale of Two Cities, Macbeth, Moneyball, just about all the books we've read this year. This is the perspective that The Book Thief has written in. There are two types of third person, omniscient and limited. Limited only knows the perspective of a single character, while omniscient is all-knowing and can look into the thoughts and feelings of other characters in the novel. This is Death in The Book Thief. As you all know, Death is the narrator in The Book Thief. Death is considered to be first person, so he uses the pronoun I, and it would be considered omniscient, which you know is an adjective meaning knowing everything. This is important to the story because Death can give us an outside view on Himmel. He can show how Lysol arrives, how her stay goes, and finally, how it is destroyed. This is the importance of his omniscience, because it can give us details that we would otherwise not know. Additionally, Death can give us the perspective of the rest of the world. Because this is World War II, this is an extremely important part of the story. Lastly, Death can look into the thoughts of other characters. Because he can look into their thoughts, this allows for multiple perspectives of the same scenario, and this is what I'm going to analyze. During this presentation, I'm going to analyze how the author uses multiple perspectives of the same scenario to help the reader better connect to the text. Three major events are Lysol coming to Himmel, the life of Max Vandenberg, and the bombing of Himmel Street. These are three major turning points in the novel and hold great value to the plot. Therefore, the author has chosen to show these three in two different perspectives, that of Death's and that of Lysol's. I'm going to analyze how these perspectives are different and how they are the same. The first major event in the book that is recorded through multiple perspectives is Lysol arriving on Himmel Street, which is recorded through the perspective of both Death and Lysol. Death is more concerned with the setting of Himmel Street, how everything looks in the time period, things that we could not see from Lysol's perspective. He says, quote, "Whoever named Himmel Street certainly had a healthy sense of irony. Not that it was a living hell, it wasn't, but sure as hell wasn't heaven, either." Page 26. And also, the buildings appeared to be glued together. Well, Lysol is more concerned with the mood, how she feels, and all the new feelings that she is experiencing moving to this new place. Death, from her perspective, says, for Lysol, it was a ride in a car. She'd never been in one before. This shows her all these new questions and all these new things she's encountering, and says there's the constant rise and fall of her stomach, and the futile hopes that they lose their way or change their minds. This shows that Lysol does not want to go to this new house, and only Death's omniscience can show us that. It also says the car moved on, with Lysol dreading the last lethal turn. This shows that Lysol definitely does not wish to be where she is. She wishes she was back with her mother. This is all these questions and all these concerns that Lysol has. Death is also concerned with the characters in the book. He says that Rosa Huberman looked like a small wardrobe with a coat thrown over it. Page 27. He said that her face, which looked like a creased up cardboard, which is a description of Rosa Huberman we will have for the rest of the book. It says that Hans Huberman was a very tall man, and with a cigarette smoldering in his fingers, he rolled his own. This is a very important activity that Lysol and Hans share later in the book. The second major event that is viewed through multiple literary lenses is the life of Max Vandenberg, told by Death and Lysol. Death gives us background information about Max Vandenberg. This gives us a deeper understanding of his character. He says Max Vandenberg was born in 1916. He grew up in Stuttgart. When he was younger, he grew up to love nothing more than a good fist fight. Page 187. It also says he watched his uncle slowly sink into the bed. He decided that he would never allow himself to die like that. Page 188. Both of these quotes greatly contribute to Max's character later in the novel. Lysol, on the other hand, gives us a more limited perspective of Max's life. She says Mama was grave. Her plump figure glowed with worry. Somehow, though, there was also a look of triumph on her face. Page 197. Also says Lysol, from the hallway, could see the drawn face of the stranger, and behind it, the worried expression scribbled like a mess onto Mama. These two quotes paint a better picture of Max's character as well as display the sacrifices made by Lysol's foster parents. Death's omniscience also allows us to hear unspoken topics that would otherwise go unheard. These are topics that are too uncomfortable for the characters to discuss, such as a Jewish corpse was a major problem. The Hubermans needed to revive Max Vandenberg not only for his sake, but for their own. Page 329. And also, possibly the only time that Max's illness did not hurt was at dinner. Page 330. They all thought it, but no one spoke. While Death's point of view shows unspoken topics, Lysol's point of view shows desperation, saying whenever she walked to and from school now, Lysol was on the lookout for discarded items that might be valuable to a dying man, if nothing else to show that she cared. Page 321. This shows that even though Max may be dying, Lysol continued to bring him gifts to try to wake him up. And also, wake up, she wanted to scream, or shake him. She didn't. Page 321. She continued to give him gifts until he finally woke up. The final major event that I'm going to be analyzing is the bombing of Himmel Street, again told by Death and Lysol. In this case, both Death and Lysol shared emotions when looking at the remains of Himmel Street. This had been the main setting for the entire book and where all the major characters resided. Death, when talking about Rudy, said, I carried him softly through the broken street, with one salty eye and a heavy, deathly heart. Page 531. This shows that Death does have emotion, and Lysol saying, we have to get my papa, my mama, we have to get Max out of the basement, showing her desperation for the foster parents that she had grown so connected to. Additionally, talking about Hans Huberman, Death says, I could see the silver through his eyelids, his soul set up, it met me. Those kinds of souls always do, the best ones, page 532. Lysol, from a different perspective, saying, Papa, she would not, and could not, look at Papa, not yet, not now. Papa was the man with silver eyes, not dead ones, page 537. Additionally, Death's omniscience allows us to see the setting of the bomb site, saying that all the main characters were tangled in the gravel bedsheet of Himmel Street, page 536, and said that the ground was concrete hills with caps of red, showing the absolute destruction that the bombs caused, and saying that the land was, there was a small valley in the mountain range of rubble. The hot sky was red and turning, page 533. Apart from the setting, Lysol's perspective allows us to see the disbelief after the bombing. She says, what happened? Lysol asked. Is this Himmel Street? Page 538. She says, in disbelief, Lysol buried her head into Rudy's chest. She held his limp body until she needed to return him to the butchered ground. Page 536. And that finally, they're not moving, she said quietly. Perhaps if she stood long enough, it would be they who moved. In conclusion, the author uses the perspectives of the omniscient Death and the limited Lysol to provide different perspectives on major events in the story, which are, but are not limited to, Lysol arriving in Himmel, Max Vanderberg's life, and the destruction of Himmel. This helps the reader by providing more than one insight on the same scenario, and makes the novel much more stellar. Thank you for watching, and here's a quick bonus clip.
At first, as Ian said, I could life, man, usually, I felt like I said, but, now, and, had a full scholarship, started, smashing the, swing bats all around. Some of the problems that I faced, some really frustrated because, I'd be like, I'm really bad, better than me, but, that, but, I think it was just for baseball, so, like, and, I didn't, and, I was just way sport, family and, loving them, and, how did you team, because, you know, and, you know, athletes, and, you know, me, like, you know, produce, and, you know, my scouts, you know. So, you know, at job, you know, but, you know, in future games, you know, I was playing baseball was that, you know, sometimes that, you know, not be, you know, and, you know, that kind of time, you know, it hurt me a lot. But, you know, how do you feel when you get bullied? You know, I react, you know, just not listening in baseball, you know, I do feel fat, but, you know, thoughts about, you know, you know, some of the thoughts that you know, I was like, you know, actually make a difference on this team, you know, I can do better, I can make a lot more friends, you know, make new friends, and, you know, I was captured into the Oakland A's, you know. You know, I kind of felt, but then, you know, I kind of felt sad about, you know, becoming that you pitch, but, you know, now you're getting, and, you know, how do you really, you know, I as a first baseman because, you know, I was getting back on, you know, that actually made me happy because I love baseball as a sport, you know, everyone, all of a sudden, you know, Billy Bean just gave up for certain times and how to like, you know, put my foot in general. So, you know, it was really fun to becoming you know, our last question, you know, the position, but then later on, you know, it would actually, you know, Rafael, in a sense, to be honest, because like, it's not really my type, you know, it did in a sense, you know, because I can't, you know, it was kind of weird, but kind of cool in a sense, because you know, I get to learn a position, you know, so yeah,